Hello, welcome to Out of Combat. This is the after show where we talk about the episode that just happened. I'm here with our wonderful DM, Maximus Rake, and I'm here with Virtual Spectre, who plays Hayden, our swashbuckling mercenary. We're not quite sure yet. And of course, I'm Bun Bun. I play Emmy, our naive little sea bean. I don't know. How are you guys feeling? Yeah, how are you all feeling after tonight's episode?
It was an excellent session, I thought.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happened. We got some really good combat, got a lot of RP moments in there, and a setup for some big stuff next session.
I'm so excited for next session. Like, I feel like we're going to learn so much about Osric.
Maybe.
And this is our first real long excursion as a actual seafaring crew.
That's true. I hadn't thought about it that way. That's true. We're starting to like get a little more in the swing of things, I think, with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Whisper kind of throwing a wrench in all our plans. I don't know.
Throwing a wrench? Why?
She's just, it's always something with her. It's always something.
She gave Emmy a cookie.
It was a very delicious cookie. Emmy doesn't dislike her. I just, as a player, I have concerns.
I don't know if Emmy dislikes anybody, to be honest.
I don't know that it comes easily to her to dislike people unless she's given a reason. So,
yeah, that was kind of the longest. Interesting. That was kind of the longest voyage. That's I think almost as far as you could sail from like landmass to landmass on that map. Pretty
realize how close we had to get to the Maw to go to Escos. So I'm kind of like intrigued about what the waters are like in this area.
Whisper was correct when talking about like a heavy conservancy presence in that area because they guard against that.
Yeah.
So we could run into a lot of conservancy and Escos.
This was maybe a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, because the Divine Order Conservancy, they have two jobs. The first job is to guard the mouth of the abyss. Whatever's there stays there. Whatever is outside stays outside. That's their first directive. And then their second directive is why they're called hunters, because they hunt down absconding arcane casters that have either not registered or have broken the rules.
So this is specifically a dangerous place for Taj and Osric.
For a pirate crew in general.
And pirates. And cute.
So this is an arcane caster.
I think Emmy's the only one that could just like dive in the water and peace out. Like, bye if anything goes down.
Yeah, I can too.
I'll turn into a dolphin and you'll hold on and we'll be like, bye.
I'll just put my hood up and we'll go. I'll join you down in your under
the sea.
Yeah. I am still really looking forward to how you describe Emmy's city. Now that we've like gone to like Azric's hometown, I'm like, oh, I want to hear you describe mine too. Like I have a picture in my head, but I can't wait to like evolve it based on your description. So I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for Escos. Escos is a cool place, I think. Fun. So,
and of the places we've been to so far, I think you've done a really good job of setting up key visual differences between the continents. Rosedon, very structured, hates magic. They do a lot of things physically or, by other means. And then you have Linares, which is centered around light, and there's a lot of fire and forges. And of course, Pirate Island, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I could paint any one of these scenes just based on what you've told us, right?
Now we're in like Moon City.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you all know this too, but the Lotus King, his domains are Twilight and Peace. So that feeds right into it. Whereas when you went to Linares, the Lightsmith, their domains, let me make sure I get this right because
blame him for why Twilight clerics are so strong.
Yeah, blame me. Yeah, Lightsmith is Light and Forge. Those are their domains. So and you weren't in Roasted On long enough to learn anything about their patron deity. So
we sure weren't.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember if I know this or if Emmy knows this or if we all know this. I know that the maw, whenever the, what is it? The
Mouth of the Abyss.
But no, the thing that broke everything.
Catastrophe.
When the catastrophe happened, that had something to do with magic. But I don't know if Emmy knows that. Does everyone know that? Or is that like Emmy knowledge?
I think we covered that.
It's like kind of common knowledge, right? So we know that like the reason that magic is so controlled and almost outlawed isn't because they don't see the benefit in it, but they've seen the destruction and harm that can come from it. And that's
exactly.
what
that was in my opening monologue for the campaign,
it's cool.
where it described Erebos as the broken continent that was a tropical paradise that, like, many centuries ago, some cataclysmic event, caused this massive, like, who knows, like, how far it goes, this literal hole, this abyss into the sea there, which then fractured the entire continent, made an ocean in the middle, basically. And it was from some fanatical wizard whose name has been sort of forgotten in the sands of time.
It's weird because we were learning all these weird facts about
wizards.
These people these wizards worshiping some sort of arch wizard or something. Mm-hmm. And then we found that paper in the bottle today, which was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's going on is what I want to know.
Don't know.
Just ramblings of a mad person, right?
You mean you?
I mean, technically, yeah, it's me. Technically, yeah, it's me. I'm the person who writes this shit. So yeah.
So yeah, I mentioned combat. We had pretty drastic. It was kind of smooth sailing at first. We had a little hiccups, but then it was storm and Twister and water elementals. And how did you think the combat went, Bun?
I thought it went. I didn't do anything. I was ready to do something, but I didn't do anything.
You had plans. I had plans.
I did get you and Azric both beefed up a little because the second I knew it was going to be some strength to get out of those things, I was like, we got to just in case. I was our just in case teammate this time.
You did stuff.
But you did stuff because you did actual damage. You got in there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to essentially Pokeball something. Using a beta force, and it didn't quite work out. It kind of
did that in another game I played.
Maneuvered some things, but
vampire, and then we just played volleyball with it so that when he popped, he would fall from a great height.
Yeah, you were in a scenario where if that water elemental hadn't have like surrounded your friends, you would have had a much better chance of like engulfing one of them.
Oh, that's what made it hard.
Yeah, that's what made it difficult because the other one made their save, so they weren't encased in it.
Yeah.
But I will say,
eat it into the
I am Twister. Pretty confident that's highest damage so far in the campaign at once, 54.
Yeah,
goes to Hayden. So we'll keep score.
Wait, do you have more of those?
You don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was one of the things Hayden. That was one of the things Hayden took before the rest of the party showed up in the little room.
Tell me, no one will know except for me in the DM and everyone in chat and in the comments. Everybody in the comments, let us know if you want to know. Does he have any more? Does anybody remember? Were you watching?
I mean, Max, when we were going to that place, he did describe what some of the stuff that was in there. So.
Yeah, physical description.
I forgot to write them in my notes.
So I kind of did too because I had magic bullets that I had confirmed.
Magic bullets were really cool. That was cool. That's like a cool concept because your character doesn't do magic damage, right?
No.
I've never played. It's been a while since I played a rogue.
The only rogue that can do magic-y stuff is Arcane Trickster, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Phantoms
if you
do
wanna
some
do
weird
magic
stuff, but I don't know
damage,
if it's really magic.
you need like a magic weapon, or you're gonna need like magic bullets, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's
But-
where Recruiter could come in. She could infuse my saber.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
lightsaber.
she certainly could. She could infuse a saber with one of her infusions, or
I thought you said a
you've talked
lightsaber. I was like,
oh no, he has
sure,
a
I
saber.
guess. That's right. You have a saber. I forgot because you have a unique weapon. You actually have a somewhat unique weapon.
It's just a rapier that does slashing.
Yeah, but I think that's cool that you wanted like a really specific weapon.
For flavor, because D&D does, for some reason, just does not have a lot of weapon types that you would think they do.
I think it's a weird attempt at balance of like having a D8 weapon for a rogue using Dex, like should be piercing. I don't know. I was like, it's fine. Please just
I've
do it.
seen
That
you
makes
do
sense.
this before too, Max. Like let's just adjust this to be this and this to be this. Like, do you find that that's annoying or work, or do you kind of like being able to like customize things as needed?
I think like especially for weapon types, like the difference between bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing is like so minute, and it matters so very little. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you wanted to choose something different, like for just damage type, yeah, that's totally fine.
And I've like seen DMs say that players approach them like they want to use great axe damage, like a D12, but they really want their character to have a big old sword. So they let them essentially have a great axe that looks like a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that.
You're just doing, it's just the damage. Like,
yeah, not a big deal. So that's easy stuff for a DM to be like, sure, why not? I've noticed that in combat you did a lot more like disengaging and moving around because you do have your other rapier, because you do have dual wielder for your bonus attacks. Were you just trying to be careful with the water monsters?
Yeah, because it seemed like they had reach potentially. I don't know if they did or not, but it was kind of fighting on the deck of a ship is kind of a confined space. So if there's multiple enemies, chances are you're going to be moving through one of them's attack range at any given time. So I figured if I wasn't going to be hitting something right away and I wanted to position to a better area and had to pass by, I would just do the disengage so at least I can maneuver. But swashbucklers do have a free, like, as long as you attempt a melee attack, they can just move without an opportunity attack.
That is true. I forgot about that. But I'm not playing
if you wanted to get to a position prior to making any kind of attack, then you can use your bonus action for disengage.
That makes sense. I liked your giant octopus move.
Yeah,
Bun. Like even though you didn't get to grab
somebody,
that was
again. I liked it.
Great.
I mean, I could have done damage instead of holding an action, but
yeah. Well, the good thing too is that since you're a moon druid, that like you get all those hit points to just kind of be the tank, because as soon as you appeared in front of the water weird, it was like, I'm going to take this thing out.
Yeah, and it barely scratched me. The giant octopus has so much strength and hit points.
Yeah,
it doesn't have a good AC, but it has the stuff you need otherwise. And I just know that I love playing those kind of utility things, like being the tank or protecting people or grabbing them if they fly off the ship. But I don't mind if it doesn't work out, because I still like it. But I was definitely scared someone was going to fly off right as that twister came by, and I was like, if that happens, they're just yeeted out of the campaign. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's any way to save them.
That's a very tough fight by itself. But then with the water spout there, like you all are lucky that it spent most of the fight like screwing off and going the wrong direction, because I rolled randomly which direction it would go, like an actual like water spout. So
I was really scared of what would happen if that hit us. Would it have damaged the ship? Would we get yeeted off to?
Oh, definitely possible.
3 people almost got sucked in.
You
all saved.
Yeah.
As soon as
I was ready to grab anyone who didn't
ship, and my next action came up, I was like really tempted to take my action to put my manta ray cloak on just in case.
Yeah.
But
That's what I was going to ask you. Does it take an action to equip it?
To pull the hood down, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but
I guess it makes sense. It's the same as it. So it would take someone an action to cast a spell of water breathing or something, right?
Yeah, that's probably why. But as soon as Mac and Cooter took the damage prior to my turn, I was like, okay, if I go overboard, whatever. I got to try to do damage on this guy.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you could always wear the hood up if you wanted to and be broody.
Like before combat or just
well, it just says when you have the hood up.
It cuts a weird image because Hayden's coat has a hood on it. So he also has a cloak that would go over top of it and also has a hood.
You're getting in like the double hoodie look.
Yeah.
Fun fact. I mean, the fight wasn't going to go that long anyways, but if I turn into a giant octopus, I have the opposite breathing problem.
You can't breathe on land. I was wondering about that.
Breathe on land. I'm essentially holding my breath for an hour. So
do that.
But I can always octopus. But I was reading the stats while that scene was happening. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they can hold their. It has like how long they can hold their breath though, right? Yeah,
pretty long. Yeah, it wasn't a problem, but it's just interesting. Now, if I ran out of air, I'm assuming I take damage.
Yeah, that's when you start making Constitution saving throws.
Well, that's what I'm asking is, if it's taking damage, then I would turn back into Emmy.
Yeah, because
and then breathe air.
Because technically, an octopus on land would be suffocating, so it'd be the same as drowning for a player, but on land.
So you still,
and then if you
take damage when you're drowning.
There's a threshold where you just go unconscious, and then
that's what I'm saying. If you skip the damage,
you'd go back to Emmy. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's a good question.
It's weird. It's just weird as written, you know.
Yeah. So. Here's another fun fact for those that you were paying attention or astute enough to deduce it. Whisper is Arcane Trickster.
That fits.
Yeah.
I was not smart enough to deduce that. How did I miss that?
And well, I figured she was a rogue, and then she was talking about, hey,
enchantment and illusion.
Anybody got magic? And she said she did, and I'm like, oh, makes sense.
The bell. Oh my god, the bell. So what happens if we get really bad morale? They mutiny and kill us all?
Yeah. So there's some rules in this that are in Ghost of Salt Marsh about like sailing and ships and stuff. So the morale a crew can have, I think they call it loyalty in the book, but I like the word morale better. So it can go from positive 10 to negative 10, I believe. Right now, so you start at 4. Right now, you're at 3 because you lost one because of that scenario. If you start going into negative, that's where you could have problems where they could mutiny, and if the captain starts having to roll for that kind of stuff, there's a whole rules thing on it. But if it does get low enough, I think that you can like basically give the crew shore leave to get their get their morale back up to like a certain number. Look at the rules specifically, but that's kind of the gist of it there. And certain things can like raise and lower the morale depending on what happens. So that's kind of what's at play there.
Yeah, as soon as you started describing what was happening, and I was like, oh, this is a job for the quartermaster.
I was like, you were like, no.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually a really great scene. I like that Hayden's almost too competent in comparison to like some of the others. But he doesn't wear it or anything, right? Like
it has to do with his experience of sailing with like more legitimate sort of captains and how they structure their ship. They're definitely there's pirate crew is definitely different than your above the board sailors. So he comes from a little bit more structured sailing. So I don't know, he would still probably be a little overwhelmed if he was the captain. But yeah, compared to some of the other people on our crew, he comes across as like the most confident one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I looked it up while we were sitting here because I couldn't help myself. But yeah, if you're so your morale can go positive or negative. And basically, the rule is if your morale is lower than 0, the captain has to make a charisma, intimidation, or persuasion check, which is modified by the crew's, they call it quality morale score. So if the morale's -1, it'd be a -1 check. And if the check is ever 0 or lower, that's when the crew mutinies and they become hostile to all the officers.
Well, no, like we get to know what level we're at, right?
You're at 3 right now. So, and when you're at 3 or lower, you can give them shore leave and it brings it back up by 1. So,
wait, we only have to get to what for them to mutiny?
A whole lot more before this, so you're fine.
Okay, I thought you said 5 or something. I was like, wait.
No.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, y'all are good for a while.
Okay, I was really scared. I was like, wait a minute, are we in trouble?
Yeah. So
now, if you started to stiff them their cut of money and stuff, it would dive real quick.
Gotcha. Like those different things are going to cause it to move at different rates. That's cool. It's a cool mechanic. Like it definitely adds some realism, I guess, but not in a way that's not fun.
It's gamified, like it's
it's gamified.
Yeah. So last thing, before we end our out of combat, I want to get your thoughts on, even though you were just kind of a little tidbit introduced on Escos, either what you thought about seeing it or what you think about kind of Azric's past with it, since you don't know a lot.
We know that he has some sort of past that he kind of is running from. Like we know he wants to like be free and do his own thing, and he didn't come from much. We know that. But we don't know the extent of how hard it was on him, I think. So that's going to be really interesting to learn as characters.
As far as like the setting, I was just talking about earlier how you did a good job of differentiating the continents and what their cities and stuff look like. And this one in particular has a sort of vibe to it that the others haven't. I think it was a combination of how you described what buildings look like, what their materials were, like pearl, and they have this sort of silvery sheen to them. And the music track that was playing along with it set up sort of mysterious, sort of ethereal tone, which seems to be like its entire religion city-state that revolves around the moon and the radiance of the moon. And I think it all fits. I think it was a really cool
the
image.
Bioluminescent like waters, kind of like the
flora.
Yeah, you mentioned floating gardens, floating markets.
Ah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's all kind of inspired. Whenever Bun and I talked about the map originally, before I started fleshing this whole place out, of just like, hey, this place was messed up the most by the catastrophe because it's so close to it. Well, what does that mean? Oh, it's broken apart. It has all these things, these rivers flowing through it because it made giant cracks in it. So all kind of coming from the original like geography, which is fun. It feels so long ago.
Working on it, yeah, it feels like forever ago. And it was fun working on it because it was like sort of learning a little bit of extra info, but at the same time, totally not, because it's like I didn't know who lived there. I didn't know what their cities looked like. It wasn't like I knew any of this. So now I'm like learning and visualizing these places that I put on the map forever ago, and it's like a really weird experience. Yeah.
So I don't know if either of you two have played Dark Souls 3.
I have. I did once. So the one I've beaten.
I'm so bad at those games.
So you have to take this route that brings you to these underground catacombs, and you make it through. You fight a big old skeleton boss, and then you come out of the catacombs and you walk out of this cave, and you're greeted with like this silver city with a giant like
Oh.
crescent moon
That's
in the
cool.
sky.
That's cool.
Now the buildings are in the game are Gothic, but that sort of imagery of like a huge moonlight with like silver buildings, and it just
It's really
is like
cool.
a whole visual spectacle. I was kind of getting a little bit of that from
Nice.
the
I'll have
description.
to go look at it again because I think I've blocked out most of Dark Souls 3 from my brain after I died
The
so many
city's
times
called
playing it.
Irithyll. I'll link you there.
Thank you. Thank you. But with that, hopefully you learned some little tidbits behind the scenes, some little insights from us. So thank you all so much for watching. And we will see you at the next session on Friday, 6 p.m. See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.